Hello there. Thank you for joining us here on The Handshake with me, Lynn Komjisha, and this is New Vision TV. We are looking at what's happening in the economy, especially, in particular, today. We're looking at what's happening in the economy. And I have with me Paul Busharizi to help me dig into this, understand this. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lynn.
Now, the IMF is saying that Uganda's debt could rise to a unmanageable point. We have a debt that we might not be able to manage in the near future.
Well, the IMF was saying that, of course, it's noticed that our debt has jumped from about $7 billion in around 2010 to current, or at the end of last year, about $8.7 billion dollars. The IMF is concerned that we are borrowing this money for projects, but the projects are not taking off as they should. They're not taking off, or building or whatever is not taking off as it should, and therefore timelines are being affected.
Because I was reading and they said as of December 2016, the debt was at 31.1 trillion shillings.
Yeah, that's about $8.7 billion.
What brings this up? What causes all this?
No, well, first of all, debt is not a bad thing in itself.
Oh.
It's not a bad thing. And the IMF made a very good point. They said, listen, you guys are borrowing for these projects, roads, SGR, dams, all that kind of business. But these projects are not getting off on time. So that means many of our debts, many of our loans have a grace period. So you say, we'll take a loan for 15 years, but for the first maybe 5 years, we will not pay. So in those 5 years, you should get that project underway. So it starts making money to kind of pay for itself.
Sure.
Now, if you delay, you're going to start constraining on our tax money. And that is what the IMF is saying, that please, guys, get focused on getting these projects out the way. As I said earlier, debt is not a bad thing in itself. It's what you use it for. So the IMF is not saying that our debt is bad. It's that we're not getting these projects going. Our debt would have been bad debt if we were, for example, getting debt to import perfumes.
What happened?
Which would be a bad thing. But thankfully,
Yes.
a lot of our debt is being contracted to build roads and dams and railway lines and all that kind of thing, which will create more economic activity, which will create the taxes that will pay for the debt.
You know, this reminds me of people who borrow money to buy a car.
Yeah, well, it depends.
Not for business.
Yes, yeah.
For personal use.
Yeah.
And at the end
It's
of
not a
the
good
day,
idea.
you're wondering, what's up? How are you going to do this?
Yeah, well, again, your car might be what makes it easier for you to do your job. So then it's not a bad thing. But yes, you don't want to, there are only two ways to spend money. We've said this before.
Okay.
As a country and as individuals, you either eat it or you invest it. If you invest it, it gives you the possibility that you'll make more money in the future. If you eat it, it's gone and comes out the other way, and no gain.
And you're in trouble.
Yes. So for countries and for people, you want to borrow to invest, not to consume.
True.
And the IMF, I think it should be made clear. People get excited. IMF is saying we have too much debt.
Yeah.
First of all, our debt levels are not out of control. Supposedly acceptable debt levels are 50% of GDP. So Uganda's GDP is about between 20 and 25 billion.
Okay.
So if we got our debt to about 12 billion, you start getting worried, but we're still at 8. So, but then the IMF points out that, look, those projects which you're borrowing for, which would have paid for this debt, are not kicking off on time, and therefore will not be finished on time. And in that period, between when you should have finished and when you finish, you're going to be strained here. That's what they are getting.
I'm really tempted to ask you, why are they not kicking off? But we might not want to know that.
No, well, there's a lot of things. For example, a road, if you get money for a road, there are a lot of processes that go in.
Okay.
You have to design the road. You have to then get the people to build the road. Then, of course, you have to start building the road. And then there's compensation of people on the road.
So why ask for money before you have all these things in place?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge. Maybe being a poor country, maybe we should have been able to do all that preliminary work ahead of time.
Yes.
Get the loan when we're ready to go. But
off.
I think many times the loan also includes all the money for the preliminary work or something like that.
Why? So how can the country now work on, averting this?
Well, I mean, that's a big subject, but generally we just have to have more efficiency in government. Corruption is a big deal, and corruption sometimes causes some of these delays and all that kind of business, because you're trying to fix things that shouldn't be there, but somebody is hoping to win a quick buck. I think we should streamline certain processes. Already I hear there's an amendment bill to the Land Act, which will allow government to take over land and compensate later. I think the law as it stands now is we compensate for now, then we take over the land. Of course, there's problems with that. How long will government pay you? And that's another inefficiency issue. But those are some of the things that have to be done to get this process speeded up, hopefully.
Wow. Did you know that? Well, at least the debts are not bad, he says. The business analyst thinks that having debts is not bad. But don't go out there and, swamp yourself in debts. You might end up in a reserve prison. So be careful how you do and how you get these debts. So I think we might need to learn 1 or 2 lessons here, that you can get a debt, but be sure what you're using it for and make sure you use it so you are able to pay back. At least that's what I learned from this whole discussion. I hope you learned something too. And that's all we had for you today. Now, thank you so much for watching New Vision TV and The Handshake. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.